we're in more or less right now and getting settled. So we might as well start to get started. So our pizza eater, I don't know if you guys all know her. I know that some of you haven't met her, is Lisa Taylor, the legend herself. And so Lisa, I didn't know if you were going to be on the whole call with us, if you just want us to go ahead, or if you had something you wanted to say.
No, you do your thing. I'm just happy to see you all. I'm just excited for you. I remember thinking about taking my first teacher training when this person was like 4 or 5 years old. And I had to go to California and stay at a friend's house for 2.5 months. And I had to be away from my kids 6 days a week to do it before they woke up and long after they went to bed. So one of the things I always wanted to create in the world was that a person could have a super high quality training and sleep in their own bed at night. And so that's really what we've got created for you. And I'm very excited that this is happening in our Harrisburg studio. It is a good training. So I think you're almost our 30th cycle of this training. And then of course we have our higher level trainings and all the trainings I've participated in facilitating with Barron. So you are coming to a source of amazing trainings, and Lisa and Steph are some of our best teachers.
Yeah, I think this is actually the 33rd cycle. Like the Harrisburg cycle is the 33rd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you don't know me, I'm Ruby Lou. I'm actually the Harrisburg manager. I'm also her oldest daughter. Yeah, Lisa and I see each other all the time because she teaches in the Harrisburg studio too.
And you guys live together currently.
There's that.
But I can't wait for this training to get going. You guys are gonna love the Harrisburg community if you don't already know them. They're really fantastic people. Really excited.
And our training will happen no matter what. We are currently doing the whole weekend this weekend virtually with the current York training, and they'll ultimately graduate virtually. So, and that's kind of working out. They're at home and they have the time to put their energy into it. And we've got a lot of great tools to make it work. So don't worry about whether it's going to happen or not, it is.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, so Lisa Taylor, she's the founder and owner of Evolution Power Yoga and the author of this amazing training that you get to do. She's my yoga teacher. So I didn't even know how lucky I was that I stumbled upon Evolution Power Yoga and Lisa Taylor when I did back in 2012. And that's where really I woke up and became a yoga teacher. So the intention of our call tonight really is just to share all the information about the upcoming Evolution Power Yoga 250-hour access yoga teacher training, summer intensive version, cycle 33. What?
Woo, woo.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. And our intention is just to connect tonight and to see each other and to hear each other, and for us to hear from you what you want and what you need in terms of questions, answers, and assurances regarding this program. So thank you all so much for being with us tonight. I know even though we're at home, sometimes there's a lot going on, and in the evening, I just really acknowledge you guys for taking the time right now to be here and help us make the most of this time for you and make sure that we get your questions answered. So Steph and I are leading the training, and we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Lisa Opplinger. For those of you who don't know me, I currently teach at the Harrisburg studio for Evolution Power Yoga. I am a 500 ERYT and a 1,200-hour certified Tier 3 Baptiste yoga teacher. I've completed multiple 200-hour yoga teacher trainings, as well as Baptiste Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, and their Fit to Lead program. 4.5 years ago, I founded and co-owned Ethos Fitness in Carlisle, which is where we have a little faction hailing from tonight. So happy to see your faces here. And I've been teaching fitness and yoga since 2012. But as I mentioned, when I found Lisa Taylor back in 2012, I was a fitness teacher teaching a yoga class now and then, and I left that training really passionate about being a yoga teacher and really learning what all the tools, asana, meditation, inquiry, and service, what those all meant for me in my life, how they could transform my life and my way of being for others in the world. And it really lit me on fire for being a yoga teacher that shared those tools with others beyond just their experience of physical postures on a mat. Yeah, and so now I teach at Evolution Power Yoga Harrisburg. I teach at Ethos Fitness, and I lead yoga teacher trainings for Evolution. I also run a community free yoga program in Carlisle called Share Yoga. And I'm really excited to spend a summer learning and discovering with you guys if you do this program. Steph?
And I'm Steph, Lisa's sidekick. It's so good to be here with you. My rap sheet is nowhere near as impressive as Lisa's is, but what I'll tell you is I am a 500-hour RYT yoga teacher. That means that I've done both the Access training with Evolution and their next level of training called Empower. You can think of that as getting your bachelor's degree in Access and then getting your master's degree with Empower. And so I started this program back in 2016, and it totally upended my life, turned me on a dime. And I've been a part of the Access programs in some capacity since then, as a leader, as an apprentice, as a student. And so for me, it's really exciting now to be on this journey with you as a leader, along with Lisa, because I've experienced firsthand the difference that this training has made for me, far beyond just the ability to teach a yoga class. I think I signed up thinking, yeah, I'd love to teach yoga and I like the practice. And what I got and didn't necessarily expect were all of the awesome benefits of the tools that I was able to take out of the training and apply to my life, how I was showing up in relationships, how I was showing up professionally at work, who I was being for myself, all things that I thought I had a handle on until I took this training. And I quickly learned ways that I could be more authentic and more genuine and take down a wall that kept me from connection with other people. And so the stuff that you get to see tonight and that you get to interact with as part of this training is somebody who has done a lot of work through this program and is excited to share with you that experience so that you too can have a transformation at the end of Access. When I'm not at Evolution Power Yoga, my whole career has been with Evolution Power Yoga. I don't have any yoga experience outside of that. But when I'm not there, I am a student affairs director for a college in Lancaster called Pennsylvania College of Health Sciences. So I get to spend time with college students and adult learners the same as they pursue a career in healthcare. And that's been really an awesome opportunity to take the tools of yoga, both the physical, the asana aspect of it, and then the inquiry and meditation, and be able to give those tools to students as they get a degree. And so I love doing that. I'm married, I have a husband named Michael and an adorable fur child named Waldo. And so inevitably during one of these virtual calls, you will see or hear him. So his name is Waldo. But that's it. That's me in a nutshell. We'll move now into the meat of this presentation. We do have a little bit of a slideshow to give you some of that information concretely, and we can share that with you, and we'll give some space as we go for questions. In Zoom here, if you're not familiar with Zoom, you're currently muted, which means if you have a question, all you need to do is unmute yourself and you can share that with the group. You can also use a chat feature if that's something you're more comfortable with. But just know that at this point we have you muted so that the sound and what Lisa and I are sharing will come through clearly without any interruption. And with that, I'm going to share my screen with you so that we can get started. Okie doke. Can you see my screen?
It says Evolution Power Yoga has started screen sharing.
Oh, well, let's, hopefully that comes through.
If you click on sort of what's behind, for me, once I got that up, and then I had to click on the PowerPoint, which slightly was overlapping my Zoom screen.
Okay, give me 2 seconds here because it's not even giving me an arrow to do that. It's just saying loading.
Mind you,
Let's try
Steph
this.
is our tech expert. She's waiting.
Yeah, I don't know about,
I
I don't know about that, but we're going to figure it out. No matter how many times we tried this earlier.
You're also frozen right now, Steph.
That seems
That might
like
be it.
accurate because it won't let me click or do anything.
Unshare your screen and let me see if we can pull up the show and share it from our screen.
Oh yeah, give me 2 seconds. I can probably do that.
So just
I can't even stop sharing. So my whole end is completely frozen. If you can hear me, great. Feel free to kick me out and I'll come back in.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Go ahead and chat and we'll see if we're able to change it on this end.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'd really love to do, you guys, if you wouldn't mind, and don't worry about if you overlap each other a little bit or kind of have some false starts. I would love to just hear you guys each pop in and say, hey, I'm Hannah, I'm from the Carlo Studio, and I'm already signed up, or whatever it is that you want to say. Sorry, Hannah. Yeah, I just took your whole thing, but why don't you guys just pop in, just introduce yourself, and if there's any sentence or anything you want to add, I'd love to hear who's here. Who will be brave and go first?
Hi, I'm Tatiana. I am a Carmi at Lidditz currently, and I'm signed up for the summer access program.
Awesome, Tatiana. Welcome.
Yeah.
Hi, Lisa and Ruby. It's Nikki. I signed up last year for this, so glad you're teaching it, Ruby, and Lisa. I put you guys together, my dog. Anyways, glad you're teaching it.
Yeah, tech stuff.
Great, Nikki, welcome. Who else?
Hi, I'm Kristen. Can you hear me?
Yes, Kristen.
Okay. I'm Kristen. I live in Carlisle. I've been doing yoga with Lisa at Ethos. I also do it at Fitness U in Strawberry Square when I am working, since I work in that building. And Lisa and I met for breakfast several months ago, and I decided I was doing this, and here I am, signed up and ready.
Awesome, Kristen. We're so excited to have you. Who else?
Hi, I'm Steph. I'm practice at the Lidditz Studio now. Just curious. Not signed up for anything yet. Just kind of starting to see what's available. Finally, everybody's saying, "Hey, you should try this." So, seeing what's involved.
Perfect, Steph. For the curious, it's exactly why we're here tonight. So you guys can kind of see what everybody's talking about. Thanks for coming. Who else?
Hi, I'm Hannah. Did someone else start talking?
Go ahead, Hannah.
Thank you. I'm Hannah, and I practice with Lisa at Ethos, and she told me that she was teaching this training, so I signed up.
Awesome, Hannah. Welcome. Who else?
I am Allison, and I am a student of Lisa at Ethos, and I also practice at Simply Well in Carlisle. I've been doing yoga for about 5 years now, I guess, and absolutely love it and what it's brought into my life so far. And the way Lisa talks about the training and how much more you'll get out of it other than just the teaching experience is, really interesting to me. Something that I would definitely like to do. I'm not sure if I can do it this year, but it's something that I definitely want to do.
Awesome, Allison. Thanks for being here. Who else? Is everybody gone? Isabel?
Hi, I'm Isabel. I have not yet signed up. I also go to Ethos with Lisa and Tina, and I love it there. And so Lisa talks very highly of this program, and I definitely have been interested in this for a while now. But I'm not currently signed up because I have a lot of questions, but I'm super excited to learn more.
Perfect. Awesome. Has everybody?
Hi, I didn't go yet. My name's Claire. I'm another Ethos gal. And again, same boat there. Lisa always talks about this training and raves about the benefits of it. So I'm not signed up. I'm here to explore my options and just be a sponge.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Well, welcome everybody. It's really great to have you here. Yeah, so hopefully a lot of your questions will get answered as we go through. We'll pause for questions. And again, just like Steph said, feel free to unmute yourself and speak up questions as they come. Steph, I don't see you. Where'd you go?
She dropped off.
I'm back.
Back in. But can you see the slideshow now?
I can, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'll just keep it up. You guys can tell me when to advance. Go ahead.
We'll mute so you don't hear barking dogs.
Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
Wonderful.
Sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
So go ahead and take us to the first slide.
So were you the first slide or me, Steph?
You kick us off, Lisa. You got it.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so your Access 250-hour yoga teacher leader training is the first step in revealing and unleashing your talents. The program is intense, the coursework is rigorous, the possibilities for discovery are endless, and the results are up to you. So yeah, if you like the style of yoga that we teach, you're a yes for the kind of rigor and intensity that you know gives you the opportunity for some major growth. So you can think of the entire of the Access training as like a journey into power sequence of it's intense. It's also, has periods of softening and relaxing and opening up. And what you put into it is what you'll get out of it. Like the results are up to you. Yeah, I love this. It's the first step in revealing and unleashing your talents. Yeah, and by giving you a really awesome occasion to rise to, you get to see really what you're capable of, what growth you're capable of, and what a stand you can be for the other people in your program as you all work together for this amazing growth.
Yeah, and as Lisa said, the results are up to you. This is a training that lets you be in the driver's seat. And Lisa and I have the opportunity to create some structure and framework for you to be in the possibility of discovery and learning about yourself. And what you get out of this training equates with what you put into this training. So my encouragement to you, to those of you that are already signed up and those considering, is to just make this like a commitment, something that you're going to show up for and be a stand for your own personal growth, because you're going to get out of it tenfold what you put in. So that's what I'll say about that. Ruby, the next slide, please. So about this Access program is that it's currently a credentialed Yoga Alliance program for 200-hour RYT. That means registered yoga teacher. And that would be the credential you graduate with upon completion of this program.
Great. Next slide, Ruby. About Access. The Access core curriculum builds a solid understanding of the tools of yoga, asana, like your physical yoga poses and practice, meditation, and self-inquiry. Through rigorous practice, persistent self-reflection, and insightful discussion, Access engages students in an in-depth experience and exploration of Baptiste yoga methodology. Beyond cultivating the skills to teach and assist yoga, students practice teamwork, participate in personal leadership activities, and study anatomy. So really, this is just like gives you the meat of all of the things you'll be diving into. And what's so phenomenal about all of these practices, you learn them experientially. Yeah, you're actually in the practice of so much asana, your physical postures, your meditation, your self-inquiry. And as you delve completely in, like Steph was just speaking to, what you put into it, you'll have such a powerful experience of what these practices really make available for you in your life. Then you get really excited about sharing these practices. And in the training, you get the tools to do all of that. Yeah, specifically with the Baptiste yoga methodology, as mentioned here, which, Bara Baptiste is a third generation yogi here in the US, which is really a unique opportunity. Like his parents were leaders in this industry. And so he really comes from a really genuine, close to the source of the teachings of yoga as we really have in our Western culture. And his yoga methodology is shared all over the world. Yeah, it's super prolific here in the States and all over the world because it's really powerful and it really works. As you heard all my ethos yogis talking about how much I talk about it and share about it. Yeah, it's just phenomenal. And so you get these tools of Baptiste yoga methodology in this training, and you'll be really adept at sharing those tools through this training.
Sounds good. Next slide. We're going to move into talking about some of the different aspects of the program, the first being the curriculum. And so over the next 4 slides, Ruby, if you want to take us to the next one, we'll talk a little bit about what to expect out of the curriculum. And the first is an understanding of the classroom experience. That includes instruction in anatomy, the Baptiste methodology, the asanas, the physical journey into power practice, and meditation. It includes personal reflection and inquiry, conceptual exploration, and group discussion. And lastly, some scored evaluation. That would come in the form of a midterm and some quizzes that happen throughout the weekends and our time together, along with a final. And when we say that, sometimes we get a response of like, oh, tests, exams. And for some of you who might be out of the practice of doing that, don't worry. You're with a team of supportive leaders, both with Lisa and I, with Ruby Lou and Lisa Taylor, along with our anatomy instructor, Philomena. It really is a space where there doesn't need to be an anxiety around the evaluation of it. It's just part of the program. The classroom experience also includes the Access Learning Manual that serves as a guide to your core curriculum. That is not a cost that's included in your program fee, but something that's additional. And I'll just show you because I have mine sitting here on my desk. And you see I've, the nerd edition, I've added tabs at the top of it. Lisa Taylor's shaking her head like, yeah, I'm not really surprised by that. But this is something that when I first started, I'll show you, looked like this in this 3-inch binder, this like mammoth of a training, and has now evolved into something that is polished and concrete and is really a guide that I turn to so much. It's not a tool that I had and only used in my training and then put on a shelf somewhere. You can see how easily accessible I had these things because they're tools and they're really experiences and skills and inquiry prompts that I keep coming back to time after time after time. So you can know for sure that your experience in this training doesn't end when your 250 hours ends. It's something that is constantly allowing you to be in the work and going back to over and over again.
Awesome. Yeah, also in the curriculum is our practice learning, which we get lots of that with practice teaching, leading meditation, observing, practicing, and assisting public classes, video recording and self-evaluation, and the practicum evaluation. So yeah, and since Steph was just talking about the scored evaluation, that's along with that is the practicum evaluation. And that just looks like after you've had a lot of time and experience with practice teaching with your peers, with your fellow participants, the leaders will give you some tips and some evaluation and some feedback so that you can grow your skills, live and like in the moment, just learning how to respond in the moment and step up to growing your skill level. Practice teaching, yeah, like I just mentioned, you'll start with your fellow participants, and it's very, I just love the way it's done because you're kind of told like, these are the poses, this is the sequence. This time around, just say this. And you learn with the most simple wording how to make yoga practice happen in physical bodies. Like what I love about this Baptiste yoga is it can be so simple, like somebody's already figured out the secret sauce for us and we've experienced how powerfully it works. Simple wording. And so we give you these tools to build from the ground up so that you're going to be teaching your fellow participants. You'll go home and teach your family. or whoever will let you teach them. Get a lot of just practice where it feels good to practice. You'll also have the same experience of leading each other in meditation, so you can get some skills and some comfort around that. Yeah, and when the training moves back into the studio, you'll be having the opportunity to observe teaching, to observe and assist each other in classes with hands-on assisting. And the video recording and self-evaluation, I'd like to clarify, because somebody said, oh my gosh, are they going to videotape us and evaluate us? No, you'll videotape yourself teaching, and that will be a really great way for you to grow and just see, like, what do I look like? What do I sound like? Just for yourself to see. And I'll say for myself, the times that I've had to video myself teaching, observe, and it was a phenomenal opportunity for growth to happen quickly. So those are some of our practice learning tools.
Up next is the group learning. And that, as Lisa has mentioned, includes peer evaluation and feedback as part of practicing and teaching. And what I really love about that is sort of an acknowledgement that everybody in the training has something valuable to share. Like your experience on the mat, your experience in meditation or being assisted is unique to you and has value. That doesn't mean that Lisa and I are the only experts with feedback to share. That means that your feedback matters just as much. So through practice teaching and through drills, skill work drills that we'll do together as a group, you have the chance to give each other feedback based on your experience. That will come in the form of small group learning sessions. You'll have some small group stuff that you get to do outside of the training weekends together. And then large group community building and fundraiser planning. Part of this training is a fundraising project. And the scope of that project really changes based on feedback that we get from participants training to training. So we'll have more to share with you as we get closer to that part of our time together in the training itself. But know that you get to be up to something bigger as a team, as all teacher trainees together working towards one goal. And just like you would be in a class where there's a shared breath, that, that community energy that you create, you get to do that together as well.
Yeah, what I love about that too is just like Steph said, as a group, we have so much to offer each other. And what you want to know is that who we need in this training is exactly who you are right now. I remember when I filled out my application, even though I'd been teaching yoga and fitness forever, I felt like a yoga fraud. And I just didn't think, oh my gosh, I'm going to apply, and what if they don't take me? Or I just didn't understand what a supportive growth environment the whole thing was. And yeah, who you are right now is exactly who we need in this training, because each of us represent an individual that we might see in our class, an individual's perspective or experience of a yoga class. You guys all have that from your own unique perspective, which is who you are. So right from the start, we have so much to offer each other just in showing up exactly how we are and being open to helping each other grow.
Tell us about anatomy, Lisa.
So our next slide is about the anatomy component of the yoga teacher training. It includes the Breakout Anatomy of Yoga course, which folds right into your training. It's an accredited continuing education course, also available to take individually. This study allows you to understand movement in the body when instructing yoga. And what it means that it's also available to take individually is that you might have people in the training at just the anatomy sessions that are there just because they want to take the anatomy course for CEUs. You see on the slide, it says CEUs are offered for Athletics and Fitness Association of America, AFA, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and also for physical therapists. So you're getting a really high quality anatomy breakout class folded into your yoga teacher training, taught for to be really applicable to what you're learning about teaching yoga poses. And Philomena makes it so fun, because when it gets like all the sciencey anatomy things, she then just applies it right to what's meaningful to us in this training, and how to move the body and how to take care of the body. And Yeah, she's just phenomenal. And Steph knows all of her credentials, so she's gonna, because she works with her. So
Yeah,
she's gonna tell you
I'll
that.
drop the credential nerd knowledge on you. Philomena and I actually work together. She is a professor at Pennsylvania College of Health Sciences. And I share that to just add some credibility to the fact that Evolution has really put together a team of instructors that come with the experience to share, and Philomena is one of them. She has her a couple master's degrees in teaching anatomy, but above that, she has a doctorate in adult education, which means she understands the ways in which people learn differently and how to create content that might be difficult to understand or have a lot of detail, and really make it a way that's palatable for everybody. When I did this training the first time around, one of the things I was worried about was the anatomy, all of the science, and taking some evaluations on that and just being a little intimidated by it. And Philomena had the best way at approaching each student in the program differently and making sure that you were successful. So know that going into this program, if the anatomy part is something that is a little intimidating, that's totally fair. And Philomena is there to see that you're successful in doing that.
And having fun.
And having fun. Yes, she is wonderful.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun.
So then I think we get into a little bit of the schedule, but before we move into that, I just want to see if there are any questions about what the curriculum includes or would look like. So again, you are muted, but if you have a question, just go ahead and unmute yourself and we'll pause for a moment here to allow space for that.
You may have said this, but I'm sorry if I cut someone off too. Will we get hands-on instruction? Like, how can we assist others in a yoga class?
Yeah, absolutely. Hands-on assisting is part of the curriculum. That's part of the classroom experience as well as the practice learning. Sections in the manual are designed specifically around assisting, and as you learn each of the poses in Journey into Power and a more in-depth understanding of why this pose, what it does in the body, we'll spend time talking about assists and ways to bring the body into alignment, both with physical contact and with instruction and cueing non-verbally. So you get a full realm of hands-on assisting. What I will also add with that is as we move through some of these weekends virtually, that will look a little different, and we'll be creative in putting our thinking together about how that will start off, but know that that is an intended part of the program. Lisa, do you have anything to add to that?
No, yeah, just like you said, what works so well in this training is that as you're learning the anatomy, as you're learning the energetics of the poses, you're learning to teach, people the alignment of the pose. You're learning how to hands-on assist the pose. Yeah, and it's been my experience in other yoga trainings that don't include that it's just too much material to pick up after. Like a weekend training and hands-on assisting is great, but there's nothing that really compares and gets you as adept with hands-on assisting as in this training, where you're doing it the whole way through and integrating it with everything else you learn about the poses.
And that does start off right in our first weekend together. So if you think about, that you'll have all of this classroom learning before you actually get to do the thing, that is not the case here. You start off practice teaching, you start off assisting, like there is the experience of learning right off the bat. Did that answer your question, Isabel?
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry, I muted myself because my
No, that's okay.
Thank
No
you.
worries. Any other questions about the curriculum before we move on to talk about the schedule? Okay, let's get into the schedule. The next slide here is going to just give you a glimpse of what that will look like. So our access training is offered 3 times a year in 2 different formats. The first format being the classic 8-weekend training that meets 1 weekend a month. And that happens in the fall in our York studio, in the spring, either in Lidditz or Lancaster. The training that we're speaking about tonight is our summer intensive, which is condensed into 4 months, May through August. That looks like 2 weekends a month. The typical program weekend hours are Fridays 5 to 9, Saturdays 8 to 5, and Sundays 8 to 4. Typically, anatomy takes place on Friday, and then our time together with Lisa and I would be on Saturdays and Sundays. As we move through trainings that will be virtually, there may be some adjustments to these weekend hours, but for a planning purpose with the dates on your calendar, you will want to assume that you're going to be doing training activities during these times on the dates of our group meetings.
Great. Next slide. And so here are the actual dates of the training schedule. They're all listed here. They're all also listed on the website. So they're always easy to refer to. And what's really great and unique also about training with Evolution Power Yoga would be, because there's several each year, you have the opportunity, if you have any conflicts with any of the weekends that you see, or if anything comes up that would get in the way of the training, it's really, you can make it up maybe in one of the other trainings happening. So most studios only have one training a year, so that would be really tricky. But here there's several happening every year, and so there's always this opportunity to complete your training just as with the dates that you can attend to the best of your ability, and then there's always the ability to make up content in one of the other trainings that are occurring throughout the year. Another way to possibly make up a conflict would just be communicating with Steph or myself, and we might be able to just get you caught up on content as needed. So as you look at the dates, you have any conflicts, you would just, as soon as you knew that, you would work with Steph and I, and we would make sure that you could still get everything that you need from your training. Any questions about the schedule? Great.
Hearing none, we'll talk about all the perks you get. This is, people's eyes typically like, oh yeah, tell me more about the perks. And our next slide will go over some of those with you, and I can share those. So the first thing to note is that you get unlimited yoga classes for the duration of the training at all studio locations. So if you weren't aware, Evolution has 4 studio locations: Lancaster, York, Harrisburg, and Lidditz. And as Lisa mentioned, if you need to make up weekends, a lot of times you can do that at a training during the year at another studio. But it's also a really neat experience to take your yoga practice on the road and try it on in another studio. Each teacher brings a different spice to the pot. And so it's always fun for me to try other classes and see what other teachers add. And even being in the space of observation of seeing how other teachers teach. So that's pretty neat that you can take unlimited yoga classes at any of the studios. You get to experience Evolution's exclusive curriculum written by a world-class yoga teacher and Baptiste faculty member. And Lisa and I didn't just put this in the slide because we knew Lisa Taylor would be on this call. What I will share about this manual is different than anything that you will get anywhere else. It is sourced directly from the Baptiste methodology, and Lisa, being a senior Baptiste faculty, has her finger on the pulse of the latest and greatest with Baron Baptiste, and knowing what is making a difference and bringing in fresh tools and learning and skills to the mix that we can use here in our training. And I'll tell you that I was told when I did this training that, people don't really realize how good you have it and how awesome Lisa is in the Evolution community and what you're learning until you experience not having that. And it typically brings people back. So it is a promise that I can tell you exists, that what you will experience with this training, with the curriculum, with the leaders, is like no other. And it's the best yoga teachers and leaders in Pennsylvania. Being a training that's existed for 30 plus cycles means that we are one of the largest producers of yoga teachers. And that brings with it teachers who have been teaching for years and years, that have thousands of hours of experience to share with you. And so I really appreciated that when I was learning, and I'm excited for you to get to experience that as well.
Nice, Steph.
Yeah.
Next slide. Yeah, cost. And so you see the numbers right here, what, the cost of the program is right here, $1,000 non-refundable deposit to get you started. And then it can be really flexible with payment plans after that. So that we would put you in touch with Gabby Nolt. Some of you I might have already done that with. And then you just get into a conversation, and really, everything. There's so many options that can be taken there. So I would say definitely be open to exploring that with Gabby and seeing what's possible for you. The other option, if it is possible for you to pay in full upon enrollment, you will receive $250 off of the program. And it says right here on the slide, if program financials are stopping you from enrolling, please speak with the studio manager about available options for repayment and enrollment. So, our Harrisburg studio manager is on the call here. So, and really what I'll say about the cost is so much of what Steph was just sharing about the value of this training. Myself, like I shared, I've been in this yoga and fitness industry for a long, long time. And I did a lot of research before I chose a training. And it came down to, and it's so interesting that Lisa shared this at the beginning of the call, Lisa Taylor, something that could happen at home and be of the highest quality and really be complete and efficient. So for me, the summer intensive was exactly what I was looking for. And the cost is really on par with getting this level of training really at the highest quality. And there are no other trainings, I think, that graduate its students with the full measure of just powerful languaging, sequencing, hands-on assisting, and we call them power tools. And really, it's just like the secret sauce of delivering a yoga class clearly and effectively. So you're given all these really great concrete tools in a way that you can put into action immediately. And for me, as somebody who owned a studio and was auditioning teachers and looking for people who are ready to go, I really got clear on the value of a training like this, where you're being trained on everything that has to do with just delivering clear, simple, powerful yoga class. So I think it's, for me, was beyond the best value that I could find in obtaining this training.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa.
Sure.
Our next slide, I think, starts to round out the presentation part of this. And it's this really great quote that when we read Lisa, we were like, wow, this is really good. And then we realized that Lisa wrote this. So I'll share this with you. What sets this training apart and makes it 100% worth the investment is that it is the most efficient and effective way to leave a yoga teacher training ready to teach the moment that you finish. You will know what to teach, what to say, and how to deliver a simple, powerful, effective practice with the full measure of hands-on assisting skills. With this solid of a foundation, growth comes much easier after graduation because you already hit the ground fully ready. No one in the area has run as many yoga teacher trainings, giving Evolution the opportunity to develop and refine their outstanding content. Lisa Taylor is known and sought after throughout the U.S. as a valued member of the Baptiste Yoga faculty and has developed a truly outstanding, practical, efficient, empowering, and the list could go on, training. I am so passionate about sharing this and sharing yoga because this training has had such an enormous positive impact on my life. Lisa, anything you want to share on top of that?
Yeah, the cool thing about me seeing this quote in this presentation was I wasn't asked to give a quote for this presentation. This was something that I shared in social media at some point from my heart, straight from my heart. Yeah, because this training means so much to me, just in, like Steph was sharing, about how I show up in my life with other people, about how I've been able to shift who I am in my family, and about the impact I'm able to have in a yoga studio. And right now, through the internet, giving people tools to manage a really challenging time. Yeah, I've been sharing yoga and meditation and these things that I've learned. And so, yeah, when I got to the end of this presentation and was reading this quote, I was like, yes, yeah, this is so good. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. That's me. And it was like, yeah, straight from my heart, how much I believe in the value of this program for somebody's life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I have to say about that.
That's what you have to say about that. Awesome. I think our next slide just brings us to the place of turning the floor over to you guys and letting you ask questions about things we shared or perhaps things we didn't share that you're thinking about. So go ahead, and if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and share that with the group.
What will the training look like if we do most of it like over the computer?
Yeah, that's a great question. And something that Lisa Opplinger and along with Lisa Taylor and Ruby Liu and the rest of the leadership team are currently working on. We have our first virtual weekend with our York Access group that's happening this weekend. And I'm going to be a part of that to just see how they're facilitating that. But what for them is going to happen is some group discussions through Zoom, how we're sharing content from the manual. And then they're going to have some breakout sessions with their small groups. They'll do practice teaching over Zoom. If you've had an opportunity to take some Zoom classes live online, Evolution just launched those today. So you can try on those live classes and get a sense of what that will be like, led by a current Evolution teacher. But in the program, you get to be that teacher. So there will be practicing and meditation and more to be developed about those virtual times together as we move forward. Good question.
Yeah, well, we have the great benefit of having a training go before us, you guys. And I have no doubt with the leaders of this current training, they're really just phenomenal leaders. And along with Lisa Taylor lending her enormous expertise, I'm really excited to see how this develops. And also a little bit, like we don't have to hit, it will have been happening and be getting refined when we enter into that. And we can keep you guys really updated as that develops.
And hopefully it's not that long. Hopefully we get to see your smiling faces in person sooner rather than later.
We have already run a few programs like a 40 days program completely digitally. So we've got a bit of experience already with managing a program where people still feel connected and engaged as though we're live and in person. So you'll still have a really great experience of it all, even if some of it ends up being virtual.
Yeah, and all of the practice teaching and stuff like that, those breakout sessions and things that happen in training, all of that has already been thought through. I mean, Lisa and Steph have been so on top of it. They are really excited to get going. You can tell just by how much time like they put into something like this presentation and making sure that they get to talk to all of you and answer all of your questions. They're really dedicated to making sure that you get what you want out of this training.
What else? Are there other questions that you guys have about the training?
I have a question. I'm just out of curiosity, those of you here who have gone through the training, did you enroll with intentions of, yep, I'm going to be a yoga teacher? Or did the training change your mind? Like, what was your mindset in going into this training?
That's a great question.
Because there are always a lot of people who come just for personal enhancement of their yoga practice, and they become better at their career jobs and sometimes choose to become teachers. There's a husband and wife team in York who are both lawyers and they're litigators, so live in the courtroom. And they just are avid practitioners and thought they were just enhancing their yoga practice. Well, now she teaches, she's on the board of our nonprofit. They're totally immersed in yoga as leaders and teachers. So lots of people come not intending to teach and become teachers. Some come intending to teach and become great teachers. I'll say that being this far into leading and delivering teacher trainings and owning the studio, we got to a point a long time ago where we realized we need these teachers to be hireable as soon as they graduate, not to need some sort of additional mentorship or additional coaching, but ready to go the moment the diploma hits. And because we need to hire them. We have so many classes between our nonprofit and our studios. And so we refine the training every single time. And many years ago got to the point where our teachers, once they graduate, are sought after. So whether you want our teacher or not, you're going to be good at it.
Yeah, and I'll say too, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Lisa makes a great point. Like it gives you a skill set and an ability to communicate and to show up in a more empowered, authentic way in every aspect of your life. So whether that is in your career, whether that is in your family, or leading a yoga class, it really gives you, an opportunity to step into clearer communication and more just authentic, empowered living and connecting with other people.
And all I was going to say was that too is a great value in the program. Those skills that you take beyond just being able to masterfully lead a yoga practice for other people is the ability to connect and to be a leader and a listener and of service to your community, even outside the scope of teaching a yoga practice.
Yeah, I certainly didn't come into my first training ever intending to teach. I took it because I wanted to go, and it was a week long with my mom. But what I realized that training had such a profound impact on my life. I saw the change that it brought to me and the difference that it made in my relationships with everybody around me. And I decided that when I wanted to start teaching, it came from that. It came from the desire to be able to give other people that profound impact. It's really interesting. Some people choose never to teach afterwards, but you certainly come out of this training with the tools to be able to give that experience to anybody.
Ruby did training when she was 17 between her junior and senior year of high school.
That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate all your insight.
Good question, Claire.
Going off of that question, actually, I'm curious because I won't be living in this area after the summer. So I'm curious about like the accessibility of teaching in a new location, like having gained a certification from a studio that, a new studio might not know. Is that possible?
I'll say if you move anywhere where there's a Baptiste studio, they will 100% hire you coming out of our studio.
Okay, awesome. That's good to know.
They're like, Lisa Taylor, what? Evolution Power Yoga.
I can attest to that. I just did that a few weeks ago in San Francisco, and it was like, oh, you know Lisa? I'm like, yeah, like I know her. We talk sometimes on the phone, and it was like, oh, she is wonderful. And what I will say too about the Baptiste community, even outside of the Evolution walls, is there is this instant connection, immediate. And it's people that you have never met before. And from the moment that you step into another studio or meet another Baptiste community member, it's like you've known each other for years. You have this shared experience of being in the work of the physical practice, the inquiry, the meditation. And I only recently have I started to get a sense of what that means outside of Evolution. And it's true. It's 100% true that this community runs deep. There's a lot of Baptiste yoga people, studios. So yeah, you would have absolutely no trouble teaching outside.
Where are you moving to?
I'm not sure yet. I'm just home for 1 year doing a service here with AmeriCorps, and it's done after the summer. So I would like to move somewhere new. Yeah.
Oh, Isabel, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, not the metropolis that you were hoping for.
I love my hometown, but it's time to move on.
Yeah, and also what I'll say is even any type of yoga studio will value the quality of teacher that you will be coming out of this training. You'll audition and they'll see something that they're looking for in anybody who teaches a yoga class, in just good communication, clear languaging, hands-on assisting, your ability to just create a good yoga class will be valued in any kind of yoga studio that you find yourself in. And you'll have our ongoing support. So you could be like, oh my gosh, Lisa, I'm going to audition for this studio. We'll 100% support you in something like that.
We also give you the foundational tools to create your own business, to be honest, and we'll always be a resource, as Lisa said. So you may move somewhere new and realize, I'm creating the first yoga community in this town I've chosen, and you'll be able to do that.
That's awesome. Thank you. And I guess I'll ask my other questions since I still have the floor. Sorry if I'm taking up time. But I am curious about the proper certification with RYT, Yoga Alliance.
There's no such thing. Yoga Alliance is a voluntary registration organization that hasn't even existed that long, and they do a really poor job of their work. We first registered our program 12 years ago, and they've never checked back in on us one time. It's not a very well-respected organization, but it's the only organization right now. So if nobody knows anything about our training far, far away from here, it is registered at the highest level inside of that organization, just for that reason, for your benefit. If it were up to me, we'd never be associated with it. But we, over and above, deliver on what they require, which is quite minimal.
So that means like to be an instructor, you don't have to pay like a fee every 3 years or do...
So they do collect money. Let me tell you about the world right now. So right now, of course, yoga studios are struggling. All of our doors are shut down. And Mind Body Online, for example, the software we use to run our business, has been like a champion, helping us to get into new ways of doing business without being able to see our customers right in front of us. And Yoga Alliance communicated to me as well this week, and all they sent me was, your dues are due. They did not help when Mind Body was on the front lines lobbying Congress and getting them to include in this bill, along with other lobbyists, that they have to include the self-employed and the independent contractors, because that's what our business is made up of. Yoga Alliance, on the sidelines, no voice in the game. The only time they put a voice in the game is to work against any kind of governmental organized accreditation system for us. And to me, I think that's just a case in point that they don't want to become obsolete. To me, they already are obsolete. And my last chime about them is they're trying to upgrade their practices, and what that looks like currently is they're asking all of us to submit our manuals. Evolution will never submit our manual to them because they also have offered online teacher training programs in direct competition with those of us who they're supposed to be helping to elevate. So I find them to be a very low value, low credit organization. And yet, because it's the only thing people do know about right now, we still deliver that credential in the end. It's a lot of information, but that's like the inside scoop on Yoga Alliance. I'm not a fan.
Thank you. No, thank you for sharing. That was very, very helpful.
I'd just rather that you were so well trained and self-confident that you could make something happen wherever your feet are. There was no Yoga Alliance when I started yoga.
Did you have any other questions, Isabel, about that or anything?
I did have one more.
Go for it.
I'm curious about like the books and whatnot, and whether or not they'll be like like in my hand materials or like online, and also the costs associated with it.
I got it. I'll tackle it, Lisa.
I was like, good, get it.
So as part of the training being Baptiste methodology, we'll follow closely this Journey into Power book by Baron Baptiste. And what this does is it breaks down all of the poses into Journey into Power. And so upon enrolling in the program, you'll get some additional communication from Gabby about the expectations of what textbooks you need, what you should be prepared with when you come into the program. And the first initial step is this book and learning the poses in Journey into Power. So this is the first one. The second one is the anatomy textbook that you would get from Philomena. And she has been using this Key Muscles to Yoga. This is really great because it gives you the breakdown. Oh, look at that, the glutes. Let's pick a different page. But you get the different like learning and science behind joints and bones and muscles. But the cool part is that they do it in various yoga poses so that you can see how that's affected in the body. And the glutes again, there we go. So those are the two primary textbooks that you will use in this training, along with the manual. And I will just say that the manual is this is your resource. This is your Bible in terms of your learning. I can flip through a couple of pages. It has some work, all of the work. So each chosen journey to power, why we do it, why it matters, what the assists are, what bones are impacted. So you get the chance to fill all in when you're learning. Then it becomes that source that you get to use time after time. So those would be the three primary things. I don't know that Philomena has added anything new besides this book. I know there's pockets each weekend, but in terms of books to purchase, those would be the three that you use.
Some people
and Steph, you pointed out when we were preparing, and I thought it was a great idea, is that other people in your evolution community or / me might have books for you to borrow. So it could be worth looking into as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people get a little bit intimidated by the anatomy portion of the training, because we offer such a high quality anatomy session that not every training does offer. But Philomena is absolutely an incredible teacher. I'm currently in the 300-hour training, so it's called Empower, which I also highly recommend. But Philomena gives you these little packets. They're kind of like definitions, and it's almost a coloring book as well. It's actually so much fun to learn anatomy. I sound really nerdy saying that, but I love it. It really is a good time.
She's a good teacher.
She is.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was very helpful. And that's all my questions.
You might think of more later.
Does anybody else have questions? And what I want to, and I'll just put this out here just because it's been just a little over an hour. We're still here. I'm happy to stay here and take questions. I just want to make sure if you do have to go, if you could drop your contact information in our chat, that would be fantastic. We'd love to just follow up with you guys and send you a communication and send you some information. So we can keep in touch with you guys. So again, we're here to take your questions. I'll stay here to make sure all of your questions are answered. But just a note, if you do have to go, please don't go without dropping your contact information in our chat.
I want to share another thing about the training with you is when I took my first training, I felt overwhelmed by how much I didn't know. I felt like it only just showed me I knew nothing. And so one of the things we've done at Evolution is to give you what is required from Yoga Alliance is 200 hours. And so we've endeavored to give you 1,250 hours of potential training from your home, bed, going just locally to training, because that's what it takes to get the same kind of trade degree that somebody who massages or does a tattooing, cuts hair, all have. They have a 1,250 hour training. So we aspire to give you access to a professional level of training. You can certainly begin to teach right away. Partway through the training, we'll start you teaching even in public classes, potentially with our aim to empower nonprofit. But this access training is just exactly what the title says. It's access to something more inside yourself, something more inside your ability to deliver and inspire other people. And it's just access to a whole new world of learning and training. So after this is Empower, then we have Outreach, Adaptation, and Leadership. 2 of them were meant to come online and go on sale in the coming days, and that got delayed a little bit with this whole state of affairs in the world. But you'll see those coming up in the near future.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lisa. Does anybody else have any questions? If you do, feel free to stay on and ask, but I guess with this, we can close. Steph, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, just like an acknowledgement of you guys for joining the call, which seems kind of silly and maybe even feels cliche that we would thank you for being on the call. But I remember what a big step it was for me to consider doing the access training and the Empower. And it's like every step of the way when you're challenged with leveling up your own personal growth, it can be a little scary and a little daunting. And so like just in the place of being here and asking questions, acknowledge yourself for having taken that first step to doing it. Yeah. And to continue to be bold and brave and being a stand for yourself to do the training. We've talked about payment plans being flexible. I took advantage of one of those payment plans. Like if you spend time trying to think of all the reasons that you can't do the training, or why now isn't the good time, or why Harrisburg isn't the right time, you'll talk yourself out of it. Like there's always going to be some reason that you can justify. And what I'll tell you is that the benefits on the other side, while it might be hard to see now or hard to fully grasp now, will blow your mind. Like there's really no other way to put it. It will blow your mind. So, thank you for being here, for sharing, for asking questions and listening, and know that just on the other side of what may seem daunting or scary is a complete breakthrough for you in your life, not just in the practice of teaching, but in leveling up yourself. So drop your email in the chat bubble for us. Lisa and I will hang on here for a little bit. If you guys have questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Otherwise, thank you again for being here. And if you haven't already started the application process, the application can be found online. Fill that out. If you are thinking about a training in York in the fall or a training at a future date, still start that application process now and give yourself as much time to work through those details.
Thank you all so much. We look